Mae'Govannen, my Elven Brothers and Sisters. I wanted to do a video today. This is kind of stepping out a little bit because right now I've been focusing, as some of you know, spending quite a bit of time trying to get the Elven School ready and online. Again, we are on track to get the school open on April 22nd, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. So we're really excited about that. But today I wanted to take a few minutes out from the school, and I felt the need to post this video about the fear surrounding the coronavirus and how this is getting way out of hand. So I'd like to talk for a few minutes. This is going to be a short video, but I want to do this from both an Elven perspective and from a medical perspective. As some of you probably already know, I am a doctor. I have been in medical practice for over 20 years. We run have run the largest naturopathic medical center in California, and we still continue to run the naturopathic medical center as right now. So I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about our experiences with this and how fear is not necessary during this time. So let's kind of get started on this. It'll only take a few minutes. All right, as I said, I'm a doctor with a holistic medical center here in California. We treat the flus and viruses and you name it, from boo-boo toes to cancer, we treat at the clinic. And I notice that, and it is unfortunately very common, that fear is a major factor with most patients. Fear is what most people make their decisions based on, and this is a time right now where we do not need to be doing that, of course, at all. As elves, we've learned, and I've done several videos on this subject, in an elven culture we know we can make a decision based on one side of the coin or the other. If you take life is a coin, one side is love, the other side is fear. You either make decisions based on love or you make decisions based on fear. And as we can see, most people right now are making decisions based on fear. The run on toilet paper, no pun intended, the hand sanitizers, it's absolutely absurd what people are doing. They're getting into fights. They're actually breaking wine bottles and using them as weapons to attack each other in the stores. If you bump somebody else's cart, it actually turns into a major brawl. None of this is necessary. And again, this is based on making decisions out of fear. But if we make decisions based on love, love calms the spirit, calms the soul, allows us to take a breather and look and see what's going on. So let me give you a few facts about what's going on today, and maybe it'll help you make decisions more based on love than on fear. All right, this is the coronavirus. The way the news is pushing this is that it's a brand new virus that's out there. It is not brand new. It has actually been around for quite a long time. Okay, for those that remember, quite some years back, there was the SARS virus. The SARS was also a type of coronavirus, and it too came out of China. All right, and it was bad, but again, back then only about 8,000 people got it, and about 10% died. So it was a pretty lethal virus there. But it was contained relatively quickly, even though China was denying for some time that the virus was out. But it was eventually contained. All right, but again, fear did not rule. Some travel bans were put into effect. Some schools were closed in certain countries, and that was the end of it, and it burned itself out. By late spring, it was mostly gone. All right. Then, back in 2009, we had the epidemic of the swine flu. Okay. It was much worse than today. All right. But still did not cause the fear and panic. For example, the swine flu back in 2009-2010 had 60 million people were infected. 10,000 died, and there were 300,000 hospitalizations throughout, right, and I believe that was, no, it was just in the United States alone. All right, just here in the United States. All right, one thing to remember is that all these viruses that have been coming out are animal related, because people are choosing traditionally to eat these wild animals. The SARS came from, what they seem to link it to was the wild animal markets in China, to the civet cats and to the raccoon dogs. All right, People eat them, they get the virus, they mutate, and so forth and so on. The swine flu came from pigs, all right, eating pigs, raising pigs. And now we have the current COVID-19 coronavirus. They have found that it is highly genetically related to the coronavirus that's within bats. And bats are being eaten over in China, and of course then it mutates and so forth and so on. All right. What needs to be kept in perspective, and we see this in the clinic because we see it every day, is the common flu. The alpha flu going on right now is much more widespread. For example, in the United States alone, this flu season, this year alone in the United States, is 19 million cases of the flu. All right, 180,000 hospitalizations and over 10,000 deaths. Currently, with the coronavirus, the COVID-19 that's out right now, it is approximately 4,000 deaths worldwide. And yes, this is a bad thing. I'm not downplaying it. It is a bad thing because any of these viruses can be bad. The good news is that COVID has already mutated downward, not upward. It's already become milder than it was originally. Even the CDC has come out and said about a 98% survival rate. They said most people who do get the COVID virus will do well just to stay at home and eat well and drink plenty of fluids, and they're going to get over it just fine. It's only those, as you've probably heard, who have very suppressed immune systems or already current pulmonary or lung issues. Those are the only ones that are really being hit the hardest with this because of their immune systems. You look at China, you look at Italy. All right, I have been in Southeast Asia. I have been over in Europe. What people don't realize is, because the majority of the deaths are coming from those two countries, those are incredibly polluted countries. All right, Italy, very polluted. China, massively polluted. All right, that affects the lungs. Coronavirus is very specific as a respiratory virus. So if your lungs are already impaired, you are going to have a higher likelihood of having a more severe reaction to this virus. All right, so the common flu has been much worse than this, and yet we don't have the fear factors behind that. All right, so I'm not saying, again, I'm not downplaying the coronavirus. I'm just saying fear is way out of hand over something that we have had infinitely worse in the United States. This is only unprecedented due to the fear reactions that people are having to this. All right, so there are approximately 4,000 deaths worldwide. Okay, whereas already in the United States we've had 10,000 flu deaths alone. All right, so we like to try to keep this in perspective. Okay, something else that's really important is I want to talk about the immune system. So we already know, and the CDC has also said that only those who have severe immunosuppressed issues, and those can be the elderly and those with certain kind of diseases, they're the ones that are at higher risk. So let's try to be a little more positive here in this video. What can you do? And I'm talking to you not just as an Elven doctor, but as a doctor in general. What can you do to support your immune system so that this does not have to be based on fear, so you don't have to run out and get toilet paper and such? All right. One of the most important things to know, and this is a medical fact, is that fear is a major suppressor to the immune system. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video here that links you to a video that I did on how the emotions affect the immune system. It's an actual medical science called P&I, which is Psychoneuroimmunology. It is a medical fact that what we think affects our immune system. And you can either be joyous, which medical facts show actually stimulates the immune system, or you can base your decisions in your life out of fear, and that actually suppresses the immune system. So the more afraid you are, the higher the risk you are of getting this illness and making it worse. Joy literally can help keep you. Joy, love, happiness can actually help support your immune system medically and save you from getting this issue. All right, so I'll give you a link. Go look at the video if you would, please. It's only 13 minutes, and it actually talks about the medical science behind our emotions and how it affects the neurotransmitters in our brain, the neuropeptides, and how just a joyous heart can help save you from this issue. All right, or certainly lower the risk of getting it and having a strong reaction to it. CDC is, like, again, has already said that most people who get it are not going to be affected very strongly by it. They're going to mostly stay at home and get over it. Again, 98% survivability, not a big deal, and please be careful. The testing that they're doing is important, but there is also a very large number of false positives coming out of the current coronavirus testing. So just because you're seeing these numbers climbing doesn't necessarily mean they're out there, because right now one study showed a 6% false positive. Another recent study 4 days ago showed an 80% false positive. They're getting better at the test, but right now there's a whole lot of false positives going out there, again creating more fear. Okay, so find joy amongst the fear. Find ways to be happy. If you're on lockdown, which of course is with a lot of people right now, and it's going to be worse before it gets better. Okay, if you're on lockdown, then make the best of it and use it for a time of reflection and spiritual growth. I know people are going to tell me, well, it's easy for you to say. Well, we all are experiencing some level of this. We're experiencing it at the clinic now. We're experiencing patients canceling because they're too afraid to go out. We got that. We get it. And that people have to make their own decisions and make up their own minds what they're going to do. But if you're on lockdown, take advantage of the time. All right? Read a book that you haven't been reading a long time, you put off. Do some yoga, meditate. Both can bring calm to the spirit. Take this as an opportunity for spiritual growth and find joy. Show that you can overcome the fear. One of the biggest things that we know in the Elven culture is there is such a thing as karma. And when issues or actions or situations occur to us that have to do, and they cause a fear reaction, it means that we are trying to learn a lesson from something, that it is brought into our life for a reason. We are trying to karmically work something out. If we continue to react out of fear, we will experience this issue over and over again. But if you choose to react out of love, you can get past this lesson and don't ever have to deal with it again. React out of love. Let's get past this, and then you can move on to the next lesson, so to speak. All right. Here are some things that you can do to help your immune system physically, all right, other than just joy. Okay. All right, so there's a little bit that you can do. Now, if this virus is not going to be bad to you unless you already have a severe respiratory complaint. All right, but here's some things you can do otherwise. All right, and if you do have a serious respiratory complaint, then please do go see your healthcare provider. But most of the doctors are going to tell you, even if you prove positive with this, they're going to send you home because they don't have a whole lot of antivirals, and they just send you home and you just get over it. It's when it's start showing serious lung issues, that's when you definitely are going to need support from a healthcare provider. But in the meantime, what can you do? Well, we have a wonderful thing called what we call the strep throat syrup. It's very simple, it's very basic, it's easy. We have been using it on patients for over 20 years, and it works. It works because what it does is very simple, and I'll post some more information on it for you so you can see it. Okay, it uses something very simple. It uses a teaspoon of raw honey. It uses 3 cloves of crushed garlic and a pinch of cayenne. Mix all this together in a spoon, and I know this sounds kind of gnarly, but swallow it. That is giving you a massive dose of anti-infectives. It coats the throat. I had a set of patients, a family of 5 came in one time. All of them had strep throat. They did this alone, and overnight the strep throat was gone. Why is that? Okay, because of garlic. Okay, garlic, its nickname is called the Russian penicillin. During the world wars, when Russia would run out of anti-infectives, they would turn to their old tried and true traditional medicine, garlic. Garlic has 35 sulfur compounds in it. All right, that's the same as most sulfide type antibiotics. The good news is, while you might get allergic to the sulfides, you don't get allergic to garlic, and so you'll never get allergic to the sulfur compounds in it. Now, the most powerful of the sulfur compounds is allicin. Allicin's the stinky one, so when you get odorless garlic, you got worthless garlic. If you heat garlic, it's worthless. It has to either be in capsules or in a syrup or oil or raw. Raw is the best, kind of strong, but it's the best. This is a medical fact. 3 to 5 cloves of garlic is the equivalent in efficacy, is the equivalent in potency to an adult dose of penicillin. So 3 to 5 cloves of garlic is the equivalent in an adult dose of penicillin. Alright, problem is penicillin is an antibiotic and doesn't work against viruses, whereas garlic is both antiviral and antibacterial. It works. We put our patients on this and it works every single time. Alright, so there's a strep throat syrup. Here's another recipe called what we call the flu stew. It's a way to get an awful lot of garlic down you without being overwhelmed or overwhelming those around you or getting your stomach upset, and we do it with a potato stew. So I'm going to throw up the recipe for that. You make the stew ahead of time, you pull the bowl out, take garlic, crush it with a garlic hand press into the bowl so the garlic actually didn't get cooked. Eat the bowl. We usually recommend patients do a bowl 3 times a day and juice a lot, and it works every single time against bacterial infections, viral infections. It's amazing what it does. Alright. Again, lots and lots and lots of juicing, lots of green drinks. It is amazing because you're flooding the body with enzymes and micronutrients, and that massively supports the immune system. Again, we see this work in the clinic every day. Echinacea and golden seal are great as long as you only use the echinacea every few days, but golden seal is a massive antiviral. So consider trying using that as well. We've seen great success with it. One big thing is stop all dairy. Dairy causes a massive amount, cow dairy. It causes a massive amount of mucus, and that's what all these feed on. Stop dairy, you're going to find a big difference. Alright, again, this will pass. Most viruses burn themselves out by the end of spring. Every time we've had these major pandemics, the World Health Organization has come out by June or July showing that the pandemic is over with. Usually by May, we're noticing most of the countries that have it have already been released from it. Alright, so have joy, have faith, this will pass, and remember, love beats all. Make your decisions out of love, not fear. Alright, may you all have a most blessed rest of the day. Namaste.